Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Iron Kaiser Gaming, and welcome to the Danes in Age of Empires 3. In today's video, I'm going to discuss what we know about the Danish civilization in the upcoming DLC for the definitive edition of AoE 3. Yes, it's true, we AoE 3 fans are starved for information about the new DLC, but there are some hints out there about what that new Danish civilization will look like. At the same time, we're also going to be spotlighting some Danish gameplay in the incredible Wars of Liberty mod for the legacy version of AoE 3. You guys really enjoyed my previous video showcasing this incredible total conversion mod for legacy AoE 3. And there's a long history of official releases being inspired by fan projects like these. Plus, they're all pulling from the same history anyway, so we may get some hints about what the future actual official Danish civilization will look like from this fan project. So if that sounds like fun, then please be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because every single like and subscription really helps Iron Kaiser Gaming out a lot. And buckle in, because I can guarantee you this is going to be a fun one. So let's go ahead and dive right in to Wars of Liberty and our Danish spotlight in Wars of Liberty. All right, here we are, the Danish civilization led by Frederick VII, Copenhagen. The Danes start the game with an experience crate, at least one. They age up 50% faster. Upon every age up, a golden age begins, during which experience from combat and gather rates are temporarily increased. Whenever a shipment arrives, a minor golden age temporarily increases experience from combat. We have the Livgard Grenadier and the Jutlander Dragoon as National Guards. So let me cut to some gameplay. Alright, so I've taken a few minutes to set up my early Age 1 economy, and before we talk about the Danes in Wars of Liberty, I want to share with you what we actually know about the Danish civilization in the upcoming DLC for the Definitive Edition. So there's not a lot out there, but Talanos, who is one of the developers of Definitive Edition, was recently on a Lionheart live stream, and he shared some interesting things and just some history of the civilizations that maybe we can read between the lines on and get some ideas about what the civs could be about. He said, and I'm quoting from a Reddit post, he said here, an example he gave of Danish history that's already in the game is the House of Oldenburg's Oresund customs tech, which provides a coin trickle from each warship and defensive structure you control. This tech references the history that Denmark controlled the waters and ships had to pay a fee to get a permit to cross between the Baltic Sea and the North Sea. Quote, so I guess in a metaphorical sense you could say that the shipments made Denmark filthy rich and kind of allowed them to build a huge navy and pay for other things. So that's, I will say, a totally random fact about Denmark, right? Implying that, maybe there's some interplay between how shipments work and then the Danish economy. All right? Okay? So shipments might be a key theme for the Danes and their gameplay. Meanwhile, a couple of patches back, actually a public update preview for one of the patches, the Danes actually showed up as a revolutionary option. There were some files hidden away for the Danes as a revolutionary choice for some unknown civilization. And this Danish revolutionary option would have featured Royal Grenadiers, heavy ranged infantry with promotions, right? Espingol artillery, like they're kind of a version of the Portuguese organ gun, or some version of an organ gun. Unique Danish version of the Gatling gun, as historically Espingol's were a precursor to the modern machine gun, and a Royal Oldenburg card that would have allowed them to train the Grenadiers and allied the players to the House of Oldenburg. So that was in the game at one point in the public update preview before it was taken out. I think that gives us a hint as to what we might be seeing from the Danish, specifically that Espingol, and I might be pronouncing that wrong, but that version of artillery seems like it might be a theme that shows up. It is quite the coincidence, as we now turn our gaze to Wars of Liberty, that we're going to see a lot of similar features. So let's dive in. As you can see, as we look right here on the screen, right away, most of this looks familiar. We've got our Vils and our European town center and houses and our marketplace. You know, nothing crazy there. But we also have an ox cart. We have been seeing the ox cart a lot lately in the Age of Empires world. It's a big part of the Norse civilization, Age of Mythology. AoE2, it's shown up with the Armenians and the Georgians. But here, well, in those games, the ox cart is a mobile resource drop-off point, right? Obviously, you don't need that in AoE 3. So instead, the ox cart is this mobile garrison point. It improves the gather rates of nearby villagers. And they can also jump in and hide inside the ox cart if they get raided. So it gives you some amount of defense. You know, it lets you be a little bit more adventurous with your vills and exploring resources out in the wild.
Yeah.
Here, let's go ahead and maybe get onto some wood. So that part's pretty cool. Yeah. And if you want, you can turn the ox cart into a market or a dock, a livestock pen, a mill, a market, a plantation. That's an option for you. Although I would say in the early game, you want to benefit from that faster resource gather rate instead. Something else you're not going to see because I did skip a few minutes ahead, but I did start the game with at least... I started the game with 2 shipments right out of the gate, although that might be because of the handicap. It might be only 1, but the point is, in Wars of Liberty, you're probably going to be the player who has their very first shipment as the Danes. And that gives you some tempo that you can play with. Especially for this civilization, it's going to be important that you use your shipments effectively in order to get the most out of this civilization. One building that is unique to the Danes is the anchorage. This is their unique version of the dock, right? And if we take a look at the anchorage, it says it builds and upgrades fishing boats and warships. It repairs and boosts the gather rates of nearby allied ships and freezes nearby enemy ships. So as I get some fishing ships to work, they will gather from this fish faster because they're near an anchorage. It's kind of like the water version of an ox cart. And this is Future Kaiser jumping in really quickly because I know you guys would want to see the Danish Navy at play. So here's the gunboat. It can train the Marine unit, which is a European cultural unit. So there's your gunboat. Then you have the battleship, a European heavy ship. The Heimdall here, ready to go. And then finally you have the floating battery, the European siege ship, which is this guy right here. Maybe the big feature for the Danes is the Golden Ages, right? So there's 2 ways you can get Golden Ages. You can get a minor Golden Age and a major Golden Age. A minor Golden Age happens every time we send a shipment, or we receive a shipment. So, for example, let's pick up here Nyboder. Anchorages now support 15 population, and we get a dock wagon. Let's do it. As soon as that arrives, we'll get a minor Golden Age. And what that'll do is give us a small boost to our combat XP for the next 30 seconds, I think it is. Another way we get Golden Ages is with our politicians. They get enlightened versions of normal politicians, right? So here, I'll pick the governor. It's pretty classic. You get a frontier wagon, 200 coin, but also a major Golden Age. So let's take a look here. This is about to come in. Boom, here we go. Minor Golden Age. Almost a little more than double the combat experience. I think I said a little. It's almost double. More than double the experience from combat for 15 seconds. Okay. So not very long. And here we go. A major Golden Age. You get almost triple the combat experience from combat. Unless I'm reading that wrong. I might be reading that wrong. And then 20% gather rate. So all my villagers are gathering now 20% faster for 30 seconds. Right? 30 seconds? Yeah. Let's go ahead and throw down that second dock just for the population, if nothing else. All right. I actually, if I were playing this for real, Age 2, the Royal Physician is really cool because he gives you all of your Age 2 techs for free right away. Or at least the Eco Gather techs for free. It's pretty cool. And maybe we just go ahead and go straight to Age 3 because I've got the resources for it. Why not? We have the enlightened fairy tale author, Hans Christian Andersen, right? One extra powerful Golden Age. and then the Enlightened Existentialist Sword and Kierkegaard. Boxes of experience worth 500 XP, so even more shipments available to you, and a Golden Age. I mean, these guys are cool too. Maybe in a real game I'd pick one of these two, but I think we want to see what that extra powerful Golden Age is. Let's go and queue that up. In the stables, I don't think we have anything unique. The Hussar, the Veteran Cuirassier. In Wars of Liberty, the Cuirassier are more... They're available to more civs than just the French. And then the Dragoon as well. So the stable doesn't look terribly unique, but the barracks does look pretty unique. We have the Volunteer, a border guard armed with a rifle. Here we go. For 30 seconds, 40% gather rate, and 350% XP from combat. So, theoretically, what you'd want to be doing is, starting in Age 2, you'd want to get into these fights, and you would want to not do what I often do, which is, kind of wind up for one big game-ending punch. Instead, you would want to get into these skirmishes and time those skirmishes with your shipments and with your age-ups, so you're getting more XP out of the fights, so you're getting more shipments for more XP, and you can just get this chain reaction going, right? Anyway, let's look at the barracks a little bit. We have the Volunteer, which, if I am not mistaken, the Volunteer as well as the Partisan are European cultural units that every European civilization has access to. The Landsoldat is unique to the Danes, if I'm remembering correctly. There's a Grenadier. And the Skirmisher. And then finally, the Veteran Ingenieur, a Danish ultimate musketeer that repairs artillery, armed with a hammer to beat artillery. So this, it almost reminds me of the Goth Huskarl in AoE 2, because it sounds like it's an anti-artillery infantry unit, which just runs completely counter to the normal combat triangle, right? Here we go. All right. All right, the Partisan, they're looking pretty cool. We should pick up some text from them really fast. Down here, I'm going to build an arsenal. This is very important. I think if you're playing the Danes in particular, as we're going to see in a second when we look at their deck, you definitely want to pick up the arsenal. That's one of their unique features, I would dare say. All right, here's our Partisan, here's our Volunteer, and here is the Landsoldat. Let's get some upgrades for them. Okay, nice. The uniform's coming in, looking fancy. Very fancy. Alright, so gotta get that Partisan upgrade. Let's see how cool they look in just a second. Nice. Alright, not a huge change there, but they do look a little more official. Alright. The Artillery Foundry, we've got Foot Artillery, the Culverin, the Mortar. Pretty classic stuff. In Age 4. 7 Dragoons, Landsoldater, Skirms, or 2 Mortars. Might as well pick up the Mortars. While that's queuing up, let's go ahead and look at the unique shipments that are available to the Danes. And this is where I genuinely think we're going to see some overlap with the eventual official Danish release. Okay, he goes down. Alright, so first, Team Oxcart. This ships a second Oxcart. You can ship this unlimited amounts, right? But you can only have 2 on the map at a time. So I think in a real game, what I would do is maybe throw this down, right, to build a mill or something like that. And then as soon as he disappears, get another Oxcart on the way. Team Great Dane. Yeah, you're playing as the Danish. Of course, you're going to have the Great Danes. Every hero on your team gets a powerful canine companion. Cool. Team Early Artillery. Artillery is kind of a theme for the Danish civilization, as we're going to see in a little bit. This unlocks your, falconets in Age 2. Uh-oh. Let's actually go ahead and get these guys to maybe fire. Excuse me. All right, we're now in Age 4. Nice. Okay. Alright, back to the deck. Advanced Anchorage. Anchorages have a much greater attack, they train ships more quickly, and they improve the gather rates of fishing ships in a much greater area. So just building on top of what makes anchorages so good in the first place. We've already shipped Nyborg, letting anchorages support more population and giving you a free dock. Pretty cool. In H2, there's a reason we picked Alaska as our map of choice here. The Polar Forsker, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing these wrong, improves your Danish explorer in combat and increases his line of sight. The effect is boosted on winter maps. Unfortunately, I cannot tell you what those numbers are, you know, between a winter map and a not winter map. Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Get a little bit of a little bit of a fight there. Okay. Good against infantry, the Guarani Catekumen. We're up against the Paraguayans. I didn't think about that until just now, who my opponent is. So they're a long way from home. We have Slavkrigen. Houses can slowly train partisans and volunteers, turning them into like mini barracks, right? But barracks also train them slower. So that more than washes out. I mean, if you're training these guys from, you know, whatever. It's like you can raise up an army of partisans or an army of volunteers all from, you know, your houses. That's pretty huge. Danvirke. Artillery HP greatly increased, but the speed is decreased. Its effect is boosted on winter maps. I wonder if they're made even slower on winter maps, or if it's just the damage or the HP increase that's boosted. Eskimology. All native lore improvements at trading posts cost no wood. Thule Expedition. You get a shipment of native warriors from each different allied tribe, and your explorer now boosts the attack and HP of nearby native warriors. Its effect is boosted on winter maps. I don't have any native tribes unlocked right now, so we'll leave them be. Volunteers can build barracks, stables, and artillery foundries. Nice. Battlefield engineering. Ox carts can transform into barracks, stables, and artillery foundries. The advanced arsenal. I think you have to have this for your Age 4 card we're going to look at. That's why I have it in here. The Schleswig question. Provide your capital with unique Danish improvements. Golden Ages increase unit attack as an Age 2 tech. Veteran Cazadors shipped out in Age 3. And then in Age 4, Horse Jägers. Another unit available to you. I think that Age 2 tech is insane. That would be one to pick up for sure. Grindadrop. A whale spawns at your home city water flag. Pretty cool. In Age 3, Ritter Feigning. Dragoon armor and attack increased. Volksskole. Infantry and cavalry train faster. Free press. One free shipment for the whole team. Now you might think, even in a 1v1, well, why would you have this in your deck? And I think it's probably not worth it. But not only are you getting your shipment back by shipping this, but also you are spiking that, you know, you're getting that moment of, you know, a minor golden age by receiving this. So it's kind of a free minor golden age, essentially. I kind of wish this came fast. That way you could use it as sort of a timing attack. Neoclassical architecture. Your capital now triples XP. Gunboat war. The gunboat attacks and HP are increased. Arctic expeditions. Battleships. Okay, Mr. Lopez. Battleships have increased armor. Its effect is boosted on winter maps. But finally, to these two cards. I think these two are maybe what we'll see out of the DLC for AoE3DE. The Espingoler. Heavy artillery. The organ gun-like unit. Yes, we're definitely going to collect that. There was that implication that the Espingoler will show up in that revolutionary Dane civilization. So I bet you this artillery will be appearing. Maybe not exactly presented in the same way, but this artillery will show up in the definitive edition. And then check this out. The Tohus. Arsenal improvements have more powerful effects. This also applies retroactively to improvements already researched. So you're getting more out of your arsenal upgrades than any other civilization once you ship this technology. So if I go over to my arsenal and I pick up, let's see, harder hitting musket infantry, you know, what is it? What was that? Faster firing, I want to say, was the flintlock. Moving faster. We'll just pick up all of those, right? More HP for my artillery. All of that is now even better thanks to, you know, that Tohus tech. I think at this point, I've pretty much showcased everything that there is to showcase. Age 5. We get the Espingoler Golden Age and the 2000 coin and 1 Golden Age. The Danes, as with all of the Wars of Liberty civilizations, do have access to the very late game, the Great War, World War I is available to them. I did not show that off in my last video. I will not show that off in this video, because that's not the point of this particular civilization spotlight. But again, if you guys want to see World War I in AoE3, be sure to let me know in the comments below. That helps out a lot too. You know, comments and just people leaving their thoughts. It helps both from the algorithm, that point of view, but also personally. I mean, it encourages me a lot to have people responding and saying that they like the videos and want to see more. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this showcase. Here's the Age 4 Land Soldat going to town on the Capiata. The poor Paraguayan city, not long for this world, I don't think. My town, no, says Mr. Lopez. Solano Lopez. No, I'm sure he's not happy about it. So, what do you guys think of the mod? What do y'all think the Danes will look like in the Definitive Edition? I think that Wars of Liberty really is pointing us in the right direction. That we're going to see a civilization that has a strong naval focus, a civilization that probably does some pretty unique things. Artillery will be a big theme, almost guaranteed, in my opinion. Artillery will be a big theme. I wouldn't be surprised to see something special with the arsenal. I don't know if the Land Soldat will show up or not, but alright, here we go. You go down. One thing I'm almost certain will not show up in the Definitive Edition is these cards that are unique to winter maps. That's an element where I think that's a modding sensibility that you would not put into a game that tries to have that multiplayer balance. You know, you're already, as a naval civilization, you already run the risk of either being useless on land maps or OP on water maps. But then to sort of double down on that by saying, you know, if you play on a frozen water map like Alaska here, you know, then you've got this amazing civ, but otherwise you're missing out on a lot of your civilization's power budget if you're playing on, say, Arabia. Right? I don't think that we'll see that in Definitive Edition. That might be a bridge too far. It is interesting. One thing that they don't have, but you know, based on the unique cards they have, I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a special Dragoon for the Danish. And I think, you know, based on that quote that I read earlier, the idea of shipments being an important part of the Danish economy, I would not be surprised if we see something a lot like the Golden Age mechanic that we saw in Wars of Liberty for the Danes. I don't think it'll look exactly the same, but I could see something where, like, every time you ship a shipment, your villagers gather slightly faster or something like that. I think that could be a lot of fun. Okay, but guys, that is the video for today as we showcase the Danish here in Wars of Liberty, and again, I think giving us a sneak peek as to what it could look like in the Definitive Edition. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little bit of a two birds, one stone kind of thing. I thought it was fun. I hope you did too. If you did, please, again, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you enjoyed. What do you want to see next? Do you guys want to see World War I in Wars of Liberty? If you do, let me know. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser signing off. Have a great one out there.